Good evening, everyone. All right, everybody awake then now. I see. First of all, let's have a little patience here. I'm adjusting to new glasses, and I just found out they gave me a new mouse that has a little ball, so hopefully I can navigate this whole thing here. So we always joke here that the message that we read on the beginning ties up with whatever lecture is going to be. So we talk about irritation and how that becomes an infection that can harm our soul. So just keep that in mind, the infectious part of irritation, as we're going to be talking about the immunity of our spirit. So let's see if, there we go. So I'm gonna see if I can bring this here so I can see it better. There we go. So when we're talking about immunity, we need to have a little understanding of some definitions here. So first of all, we have vaccines and we have immunity. Those are two different things. A vaccine is the product that's used to stimulate the body's immune response against whatever disease we're vaccinating. And this is a very, very simple definition by the CDC. People study 8, 12 years just immunology. So we're not gonna try to do that in an hour. So just simple here, something that will stimulate an immune response. So what is the immunization then? This will be what happens in our body after we receive the vaccine. So there'll be the state or the quality of being resistant to a particular infectious disease or pathogen. So first we get the vaccine, we become immune to whatever disease we vaccinated. So later in life, if we happen to find to be encountering this disease, we'll know what to do about it. Hopefully not get sick by it. So that sounds very clear, right? Easy to understand so far. So why are we talking about this here today? So vaccine became a very daily topic in our lives for the past 3 years. So once we start to see COVID infections showing up everywhere at once, then became the race. The doctors, the scientists are always scrambling, what we're gonna do, what can we do? We need to put a stop on that, we need to find a way to protect the whole world, basically. So with that, really, really quickly became a very controversial topic because suddenly they're coming up with a vaccine. But then we're looking and say, hey, used to take about 10 years or so for the beginning of research, processing, finding out the types of vaccines and the trials and all. 10 years, we're trying to do in 3-4 months. So a lot of people were really scared of COVID. They say, hey, sign me up. I don't want to take my chances. A lot of people are like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I need a little more security. I need to know what's going on. So as most of us were not really those people that spend 8, 12 years studying vaccines, we were lost. And then we start to just hear bits and pieces and trying to make up our minds. And then we're like, okay, this is way too fast. This is happening too fast, or I don't know what's actually in there, or I don't know if the government or scientists are trying to put something else in the vaccine. I just don't trust. Is it really gonna be effective? Is it gonna cause something else later in life? So we're all scrambling, right? So with all that happening, most people took two approaches. They either say, I'm gonna wait and see, I'm gonna take my chances, or go ahead, sign me up, I want the vaccine. And then they became part of another issue. Okay, half of the world wants the vaccine, and we only have so much. So supply and demand. I want the vaccine. I don't have it for you. Get in line, and let's do the people that are most vulnerable. So we went through months, or some people took even a whole year to be able to get the vaccine that they did want. So this is pretty fresh on our mind. We're still trying to survive, or trying to bring back some friendships that were lost after that. Two different opinions, people were not always getting along. So it's still pretty fresh in our minds. Now, with the whole talk about vaccine, we're trying to prevent something. Now, for the ones that either didn't have the vaccine or had the vaccine but still got infected, then we had some kind of treatment. So anytime we're talking about health, we have the option to either prevent or to seek treatment. So as we bring all this here to our spirit center, this is not a hospital, as in physical body hospital. We call ourselves hospital for our souls. So we look into the same principles. We either have prevention or we have treatment. As we just talked about irritation, we can find ways to prevent the irritation. Sometimes we can't prevent that. They really push irritation right into our heads, and we ended up with the disease, and now we have to seek treatment. So as we have our physical body that we treat or prevent, we have our spiritual body, our perispirit, which is pretty much our physical body is a copy of our perispirit. So as we treat one, the treatment passes to the other. As we treat our spiritual body for the diseases of the soul, we ended up making our physical bodies healthy too, because we are together, we are here, all connected. Now, as we're talking about prevention and treatment, if I tell you that I have something for you that's a very powerful prevention, would you be interested? Okay, I see some heads, so okay. I didn't pay my husband to say that, to keep going. But, wait, there's more. This prevention, it's not only a prevention, it's also something that works as the treatment itself. So now if we look back on 3 years ago, all the things that were making us scared about COVID vaccine, with this thing that we're gonna talk about today, there are no side effects. That's a plus. It has been tested on many, many people. So we know what the long-term effect is gonna be. There's no particular age. If you are under 1 year old, or if you're 95, everybody can get them. There's no particular place that you have to be. No side effects. Well, no adverse side effects. There are side effects, but good ones. What else? It can be given anywhere. You don't have to go to one particular place to get this treatment or this prevention. And best of all, it's a long-term immunity, long-term treatment. So now with that all put in the plate, if you're sitting in your house, 2 a.m., you're flipping channels, you stop at infomercials, but wait, there's more. No side effects, long-term, this and that. And we're like, I'm going to be putting my remote down and I'm going to be listening. What is that thing? And I'll be thinking, this is going to be a lot of money. I should not be making that kind of decision at 2 a.m. But then they say, no, 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 wait up. There is more. There's no cost. We're like, yeah, free. Okay, let's see if that's real. And it is. We found out it is free. It is real. We have the gospel. That's the greatest vaccine and the greatest treatment that we can find. So, in the Gospel of Matthew, he says that Jesus went throughout all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every. Let me try this. Oh, I lost my pointer. Here. Healing every disease and every affliction among people. Not just spiritual disease, not just disease of the soul. He was so powerful that he's healing everything. Not saying that we, as we are right now, have the capability of healing every body disease, but we are in the process. We're working on that. We're starting with what's inside. So the gospel brings us a whole holistic approach. So it's everything. It's treatment, it's vaccine, it's here, it's ready for you, it's being tested through ages. It is the real deal. And who's bringing us the gospel is Jesus, which is our greatest doctor. Now, in the question 625 of the Spirit's book, Kardec's asking, what is the most perfect type that God has offered to human beings, that means us, as their guide and model? And they don't say much. That's the shortest answer in the whole book. Jesus. Look at Jesus. That is who you go for. That's what you look at. Now, I don't know about you, but I know that I myself am very much human. When I hear that, the first thing that came to my mind, if you ever watch a lecture by Autori, he always put the graph that right down there on the bottom has the spirit when they're created. We are simple, we are lacking knowledge, we are right down there. And then come the whole scale, several levels, and all the way up here, they're the Christ-like spirits. So they're telling me, very human, very down there, to look at the model and be like Jesus. I get the point, but I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be so many billions of years for me to get to the point. It's going to be a lot of work because I know where I am. And I have a very simple human conception what Christ is. So I know there's a very long way. So instead of being discouraged, I hold on the knowledge that God knows every single one of us. He knows that we, right now, 2023, we're still here incarnated on earth. That means we are down there on the scale, we're still learning, and he knows how much we can comprehend. So he's not going to tell Jesus, go there, tell these people how to be Christ. He's going to say, go there, tell these people how to get better, how to be better, how can they follow this ladder of this scale of evolution. So Jesus, being a Christ-like spirit, he comes and he knows how to talk to us. And he did that when he went up to the mount and gave us the sermon. So he went bit by bit, chop it up, all that we are ready to understand, make tiny little 8 bullet points. Say, just follow this. Don't worry about everything else. Just focus on 8 little points. And if you can do that, I know you can do that. So just focus on that and we'll keep evolving afterwards. So when I was putting all this together, I found a lecture from a Brazilian psychologist. His name is Sergio Lopes. And he talked about the Sermon on the Mount, and he correlates them with virtues, like each point to be a specific virtue. So that's what I have here as the focus for each one, so we can talk about it. So the first one, Jesus say, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So what it really means to be poor in spirit. If I am rich on anything in life, I hope is in spirit. But now Jesus is telling me, you need to be poor in spirit. And to me, that it was a little bit confusing. I'm like, am I thinking the right way here? Am I going the right direction? But then the explanation comes that when we are poor in spirit, that means we are open, we are devoid of our own spirit. We're not looking into, look at me, I am the cat's meow. I am all there is, and I am the important person here. So when we are poor in spirit, we have enough humility to understand I'm not the principal here. I'm not the son of my community, of my family. I'm not the center of the universe. So I understand that there's more to it than me. So I'm putting away my selfishness and I'm looking at everything else. So this is the point in life, that we actually start to step on our evolution. When we realize that we are not that little toddler having temper tantrums, that we're actually a human being and we're in a path of evolution, we see that the way that's being put in front of us. So, poor in spirit, the focus will be humility. Now, when we are humble enough, we know there are more things to learn. And Thursday night, you all came here. I'm pretty sure it's not for the cookies and coffee because we don't have those anymore. So if you're here, I'm sure it's because you're looking to learn something new. So you already gave a step on that direction. So now there's no way back. You're already starting your evolution here. The next one, he says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Some translations of the Bible says, "Blessed are the afflicted." So once we step away from our selfishness, we start to see everything that's going on in the world. We put ourselves there to learn new things. And a lot of times this hurts. It's painful because we have to strip away every little piece of selfishness that we used to carry so heavily with us. So the focus here will be resignation. And the comfort, we see Spiritism as the great consoler that Jesus talked about. So the comfort that Spiritism is bringing to us, with the resignation, it's the knowledge that there is a reason for everything that's going through. If we are evolving, if we are trying to be better, we are leaving things behind, And we have the realization that we did things wrong and we're going to repair them. So that's when we need to seek the resignation and understand and see, you know what? I understand. I messed up some things, and now I'm gonna work towards repairing all that. So instead of being a source of pain, will be a source of great resignation, a knowledge that I am working towards myself, towards my evolution. Now, I'm not saying that once we have a resignation, we need to accept pain. Pain will happen. How we deal with pain, it's up to us. But pain is not a fact. It doesn't have to be like that. Every time that we talk about the natural laws, the divine laws, have you guys heard about the law of pain? No, right? Because there's no law of pain. There's law of progress. So during the progress, during the fixing up, the cleaning up, we go through some pains, but that's side effect. The real deal here, what's really happening, what is natural to happen, is the progress. All right. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. It's easy for us to see on our culture, we tend to see meek as a sign of not being strong enough or not being smart enough. But here Jesus is saying, no, if you are meek, you are actually blessed. You should be looking to be a meek person, which means you have calmness, you have patience, but not in your acts. I can be here a very calm person, talking softly, and inside be a monster screaming and wishing terrible things to everybody. So the meekness and the calmness and the patience that he's talking about is how we have our internal vision, our life, how we see our life happening. So I can be, not me, but people can be very loud, screaming and like excited and very outgoing, but be a very calm person on the inside. That's the way a person express it, herself or himself outwards. It's not a real image of how inside happens. So when Jesus is talking about just calmness, is how are you dealing with life? Are you freaking out over every little thing? Either you show externally or not, or are you like, okay, take a deep breath, I can do this, or I'm gonna look for help, I'm gonna make this happening? Am I having patience? Am I having patience with myself, knowing that I belong down there on the scale of the spirits and not up here? I'm not at all like Christ. Do I have patience with myself? Am I expecting too much? Do I have patience with the people around me? Sometimes people needs a little nudge to get moving, to get on their own evolution. But am I giving this little nudge with kindness, or am I throwing them off the abyss? That's the difference. And how would they inherit the earth? As we talk about the scale of the spirits that progress, that evolve, also the planets. So as Earth is becoming a planet, leaving the stage of being a planet of trials, becoming a planet of regeneration, am I going to be going? Am I having still trials inside me, or am I in a place that I'm already working with my regeneration? So if I am, I will definitely inherit the earth, because my vibration will be sustainable with Earth's vibration, so we can keep going on the same path. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. So hunger and thirst for the bright things, they will be fed. Their thirst will be quenched. So the virtue for this one, the focus is in justice and in faith. So the process here with the faith, once we are working all those other virtues, the poor in spirit, and then as we keep going, we're developing skills. Now we come here, and I'm not just looking at myself anymore. I am looking for righteousness everywhere. So when I see injustice happening around me, I start to understand it is up to me also to partake on that issue. But I understand that I'm not at all self-sufficient. So I'm gonna be stepping away from just me and looking to spirituality now. So I start to develop my faith. So the faith, the vehicle that will bring my wishes, what I think should be justice for everyone to the spirituality will be my prayer. So the vehicle to exercise my faith will be when I come up of my shell and I ask God for everything that's happening in the world. It's not about me anymore, it's about us. And I understand we all are in this together and we all need help. So when we are asking through prayer, exercising our faith, he's saying we will be filled. We will have a response. So on this step of stackable learning, this all psychological learning that we develop all those virtues, this is where we start to transcend. It's a whole new step of how we're going to be looking at everything from now on. So then we start to look at outside at the world itself. And Jesus say, blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. So Tim, open up with the Lord's Prayer today. And there's the part say, forgive our trespasses, as we forgive the ones who trespass against us. So we are saying, as we forgive them, please forgive me too. So the virtue we are talking about here is forgiveness. Now, I made so many notes here because I wish I could just have one lecture just for forgiveness. So, reconciliation with others, it is a sign, a show of indulgence for them. So in Spiritism, we talk a lot about benevolence, injustice, and forgiveness. So it all ties together. If we're indulging somebody with our forgiveness, that means it's okay. I understand. Now, I can only understand once I'm not blaming the person, once I see the reasons behind. So if I see myself as very low pole girl in the spiritual scale, and you guys are all here with me. I'm assuming that most of us are down there, except Valdo. Valdo it's way up on his scale already. But as I recognize that I mess up and I wish you guys will forgive me, it's only minimum that I forgive you too for anything that you do. That doesn't mean you cut off my arm, I'm gonna come and invite you for dinner. I'm probably gonna be like, you know what, it's okay, but you stay there, I stay here. I only have one arm left now, I gotta protect that one. But I'm not gonna be chasing you down the road with a machete. So that's the difference. We don't have to have in our lives people that are hurting us or that did hurt us or did something to us. But we need to protect ourselves. But at the same time, how are we dealing with all that sentiment? Forgiveness is not something that we give to somebody. Forgiveness is how we deal with the emotion that was left in here after somebody hurt us. It's completely internal. If we show them afterwards if we forgive or not, that's a side effect of the whole forgiveness. So it's how we deal with that. And when we don't, when we just push away or we just keep revisiting that, resenting, creating the resentments, afterwards, later on in life, it will show up again, but now it's going to be called a symptom. It's going to be something, it's going to be a disease, either mental or even physical. It shows up because it stays there, it's brewing, it's developing into something. So if we don't develop this into something fruitful and nice, it will develop itself into something of the nature that stays there. So we show mercy, we understand how we are, and we only assume that everybody's quite similar, so we assume that they'll do the same thing. Make sure I'm not missing anything. And the biggest thing here will be we are trying to not be a Christ, but learn from him and act as he's telling us. So his lesson here is be merciful, for they will be shown mercy, for we will be shown mercy. So it starts with us. Let's show that we deserve what we are asking for. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. The virtue here, I lost my pointer now. The virtue here is spontaneity. I don't know if you guys are the same, but every time I hear pure in heart, I think of a child. It's the greatest example. It's everything is going, everything is happy, is that niceness, is that purity, that naiveness that Jesus is telling us, look at them, be more like that, because they see God. So if we make our lives, our whole universe, in a state of wonderment, I'm not saying put rose-colored glasses and be a Pollyanna, but see the good thing before you jump into conclusion that this cannot be good, it's gonna be something bad behind. Just like we were talking about the infomercial earlier on. Oh, just great features, but I know that's gonna be a catch. The gospel, there's no catch. It is all the good features and it is for free. So have that pureness. See the beauty outside. See the beauty in the word. If we make our heart pure, first we need to do a little cleanup. If we're not 2 or 3 or 4 anymore, if we are grown-ups and we need to do a little cleanup because we had enough time that we mark the windows of our heart. So we need to get there, give a little cleanup on the windows so we can see out and God can see in. This mouse is not my friend today. So as we're going through the process of cleaning our heart, it can be very messy before it looks better. I just did a tiny little, very late spring cleaning on my little office. Yeah. And before anybody else could walk in the room, it was a disaster. Everything is out of place. It's dust coming up everywhere. But as my husband walked in and he says, "What a mess." I'm like, wait a minute. What you see here is a mess because you don't understand what's happening. I'm actually cleaning up. So things may look messed up. It may look ugly. It may look, oh, it's never going to happen. But have a little faith. Have in mind that you're looking for the pureness of your heart. And once you take one little thing put in place and understand why you do this or why you do that, you work up on the know thyself that we talk in Spiritism, things start to fall into place. And you give a little clean, put in the shelf, clean the floor. As you go through the process, things start to kind of accommodate itself. You see that you have more places than you realize. Now you can bring new stuff in. You get rid of all the things that are not useful for you anymore. And then everything starts to, okay, I feel now I feel the calmness and the peace that we were talking earlier. The patience, okay, now I have a space in my heart that I can think about the other ones. Now I can see the justice that I'm looking out there in the world. You see how everything like goes one virtue on top of the other? Like it builds up. And as it's building, then we come to blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Now we're talking serious business here. The virtue is altruism and peace. This was when I'm going out there and I'm like, it's not comfortable for me, but it's going to make better for somebody else. So let's make a peace. It's not just about forgiving one person that hurt us. It's about forget about all that. It's about doing the right thing. It's about looking for peace. It's about making people be peaceful with each other. I'm taking myself away out of the equation here and I'm thinking of others instead. So we do learn through conflict. This is a fact. We're humans. So as we're trying to be peacemaker, we will be put into places that we will find more conflict. But if we keep in mind what we are doing, the reasons behind, it makes it easier to understand everything. The same way that's easier for us to forgive when we know the reasons behind, will be easier for us to make peace when we see why the conflicts are happening. So everything starts to connect together here. Now we're thinking about laws, the law of cause and effect. We're thinking about, we're learning forgiveness. We're thinking about all those virtues, and now it's not about me anymore. So as we're going through those conflicts, that's where we have the ability and the gift to make choices. That's when I see conflicts out there, or I see situations that I make a choice of not putting myself there anymore. So if I'm trying to make peace, even if it's within myself, I'm not going to put myself in environments that are hurtful. I'm not going to be letting people that are toxic affecting me, or I'm not going to be putting myself in close relationships with them. I'm not going to be hating them. We already learned forgiveness. It's not about that anymore. But I'm going to preserve myself so we can keep the peace. So it's better to have a longer distance relationship, have a good relationship, than trying to merge your 12 brothers in a Thanksgiving dinner every day of the week when everybody's trying to kill themselves. So a little distance sometimes is good. Thanksgiving's once a year. So it makes easier. We're looking for the peace outcome here. We understand that conflicts are there. It's going to happen because that's how we get into peace. But even through the conflict, we're going to be working in a peaceful manner. And another big thing that we choose through the conflicts are our habits. So the conflicts that I'll be having will be with myself too. Remember the spring cleaning right from the before? As we're making the huge mess, starts to create all the conflict. Those are all the dusts coming up, and I get conflicted with myself, and I'm like, all right, so I'll stop this harmful habit, and I'm gonna install one that's healthier. And then we come to the last beatitude here. The sermon goes on for a good while, and then Jesus touching other topics, but the main bullet points, the tidbits that he focuses are those 8 points. So the last one here, blessed are the persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So here we're going to be talking about charity. Keep losing them. There you go. Charity. So the greatest of all virtues. So we went through 7 virtues already, but now we come to a culmination of all 7 of them, that is charity, which it's another word for love, the universal love for each other. So why is he saying here that's the persecuted ones? So those are the individuals that are so well developed or trying to work on all those other virtues. They came to the point that it's not about them anymore. It's not about them seeing the other ones. It's completely about the other ones. Those are the ones that are doing charity and do not care if they're going to get a thank you on the end of the day. They don't care if their name is going to show up on a Facebook feed with a picture of doing some good deeds. The deeds here, when we do a good deed, that's not charity. That's just something good that we're doing. It only becomes charity when we are putting action, we're actually doing it, and when we are feeling with all the other virtues. That's when we can call it charity. We absolutely have no expectation of gaining anything over that. And that's when we get the kingdom of heaven. That's when we for sure will be moving up the scale of the words. As the earth move or not, whatever, your spirit is guaranteed to keep moving. And the kingdom of heaven will be nothing more than be a Christ-like spirit. So Jesus is giving us all those tiny little bits of information. There's right there in charity, this is the place where we can meet Jesus. He came to us, he gave us all that, and now we are working our way up, and that's the closest we can get to him. That's the closest we can be of really understanding his message. So here are all of them together. So let me try to, there you go, my point. So those first three here, you can see, we're poor in spirit, we're mourning, we're afflicted, we are being meek. This is all me, my qualities, my work within myself. But then the next one, I'm hungry for and thirsty for righteousness. So I start to look out there and say, hey, can you guys help me out here? Because I see things happening. I want to be useful. And then I understand that I need to be a better example. I need to give what I'm asking. And then the other ones is how I am dealing with the world outside. And of course, culminating here with the charity, with the highest form of love that we can have. Now, Gandhi once said that if ever happens that we lose every single book, every single spiritual text that we have on earth right now, if we lose everything, and the only thing that survives is this page, those 8 points here, say nothing will be lost. Because all we need for our stage, for the human beings that we are right now, all we need is containing here. This is all the teaching that we need to focus on. So thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank you for joining me.